Hello everyone, welcome to our channel 2 Bits. Today we are going to solve some previous year questions that were asked in the last year InfyTQ exam. So stay with me till the end and you will be able to approach all of these questions. So those who are new, let me tell you that this is the fifth video on our InfyTQ series and we have discussed some more concept in the previous videos, so you can watch those videos for a better understanding. So let's start with the first question. Our first question says that we have an input queue with values 5, 7, 11. So here is our input queue with values 5, 7 and 11. Now what will be the content of the booked queue after end of this function? So let's start with this function. We have a parameter as input queue and input queue has a value of 5, 7 and 11. Now a first statement says that we have a booked queue. So let's say this is our booked queue and booked queue.enq 0. So we will add 0 to our booked queue. Now while not input queue.isEmpty. So isEmpty function will check whether our input queue is empty or not. Currently our input queue has values 5, 7 and 11, so it is not empty. So this will return false. So not of false would be true. So while true, we will move inside this while loop. Our first statement here says that booked is equals to booked queue.dq. So dq takes place from front. So our booked will have the value that will be dequeued from the front of the booked queue. So here 0 would be dequeued. So booked will have a value 0. Now the second statement says that booked queue.enq booked. Now the value which was dequeued here will be enqueued again. So booked queue.enq booked. So booked was 0. So 0 will be enqueued again. Now let's move on to the for loop. So for num in range 1, comma input queue.dq mod 3 plus 1. So input queue.dq will give us 5. So 5 would be dequeued from here and we will have 5 mod 3 plus 1. So 5 mod 3 will give us 2 and 2 plus 1 would be 3. So in the first case our actual range would be 1, 3. So as we all know 3 will not be included. So our values for num would be 1 and 2. So when num would be 1, we will enqueue 1 in our booked queue. So we enqueue 1. Now in the next iteration, when value of num would be 2, we will enqueue 2 in our booked queue. So after the first iteration, this is our booked queue and this is our input queue. Now let's check the while loop again. So when we move the while loop again after finishing the for loop, we will again check if our input queue is empty or not. So in our input queue, we still have values 7 and 11. So input queue is not empty. This will again give us false and not of false will be true. So while true, we will go to the first statement again and our booked value this time would be booked.dq. So again we will remove the first value and our booked value would be 0 and again booked queue.enq booked. So our booked has value 0 and booked queue.enq 0. So again we will append 0 here. So let's move to the for loop. Now for num in range 1, input queue.dq mod 3 plus 1. Now input queue has a value 7. So 7 would be dequeued. That would be 7 mod 3 plus 1. Now 7 mod 3 will give us 1 and 1 plus 1 will be 2. So our range would be 1, 2 and as we know 2 will not be included, so our actual value would be 1. So for num is equals to 1, we will add booked queue.enq 1. So here we will add 1. So this is the value of the booked queue. So at the end of the second while loop, we will have values 1, 2, 0, 1 in our booked queue, and we will have the value 11 in our input queue. Now for the third iteration also, we will check if our input queue is empty or not. So currently input queue contains 11, so it is not empty, so this will return false, and not of false will be true. So again it is true, so we will go inside the while loop. Now our booked value will contain booked queue.dq. So we will dequeue the first value and our booked will now have 1. So it again says booked queue.nq booked. So we will nq 1 here. Now we will move to the for loop again, and this time input queue.dq will give us 11, and this will be dequeued here, and 11 mod 3 plus 1. So 11 mod 3 will give us 2. So 2 plus 1 will be 3. So our range would be here 1 to 3. And 3 will not be included. So our actual values would be 1 and 2 for num. So when num will be equal to 1, we will add booked queue.nq num. So when num is 1, we will append num. And again, when num will be 2 for the second iteration, we will add booked queue.nq 2. So here we will nq 2. Now a third iteration for while loop is completed, and so when we check input queue.is empty, this will return true as our input queue is empty now, as 11 has been dequeued from here, and not of true will be false. So now we will not go inside the while loop again. So our last step would be return booked queue. So we will simply return our booked queue. So when we return our booked queue, it will have the value 2, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2. So this is A part is going to be our answer for the question. Again, in the question we were asked what will be the value of booked queue from front to rear. If it has been asked what will be the value from rear to front, then we would have reversed our answer. Let's move on to the next question. So let's start with this question. Now this question is regarding error handling in Python. And let's move on to a try block. So a try block is calling a function named dict items, which is getting a dictionary as its value. So here we are passing a dictionary, and let's call the function dict items. So here dictionary 1 is passed and the value for dictionary 1 is given here. So let's move on to the first try block inside the dict items function. So this function has a dictionary dict2. Now let's move on to a for loop. So it says that for key in dict1 dot keys. So this will iterate over the keys present in dict1. Now our keys are 1, 2 and 3. Here we are given the keys 1, 2 and 3. So we will iterate over these keys. Now it says dict2 of key is equals to int of dict1 of key plus key. So we will have a new dictionary dict2 and dict2 of key. So for first value key would be 1. So dict2 of key will make a parameter with key 1, and its value will be equal to value of key 1 in dict1 plus key here is 1, and value at 1 here is 1. So 1 plus 1 will be 2. Now dict2 has a key 1 with value 2. Now our iteration for 1 is completed. We will move to the next iteration, and now key will have a value 2. So this statement says that dict2 with key 2 will have a value int of dict1 of key, here key is 2 plus 2. So dict2 of key has 2 to b. So when we try to convert 2 to b to an integer, it will give us a value error. Why will it give us a value error? We have discussed what is in value error in our previous videos, so you can watch that for a better understanding. So we are trying to pass a alphabet value to our integer function, so it will give us a value error. So we will not move further, and our except block with value error will handle our value error. So this will be the first statement that will be printed. Now we have handled the value error, so a finally block will be executed, and this will be the second statement that will be printed. So when our finally block has been executed, we will move to the last statement of this function that says print inside method. So this will be printed here. So these three statements will be printed, and we will move out of our function. So this call has been executed, and error generated in this call was handled. So we will move to the next statement that says print function call done. So our error was handled, and our fourth statement will be printed. Now we do not have to check any further except block, as our error was already handled. If it was not handled here, if our error was not handled here, then we would have checked these except block for handling the error. So our answer would be in the order 1, 2, 3 and 4. So first statement says that value error occurred. So value error occurred. So this statement is wrong, this is wrong, and this is wrong. So first statement says that value error occurred. Now you could also have stopped when you saw that this will be the first statement that will be printed, as any other answer do not have value error occurred as the first statement. So these are some tricks to solve the question easily. When you see that the first statement that will be printed is this, and you see no other option that says that the first statement is value error occurred, you can simply choose this option and move on to the next question. So our first statement would be value error occurred, then our second statement is finally done, then the third statement is inside method, and our fourth statement is function call done. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video or learned something new, then please like, share and subscribe to our channel, and tell me in the comment section what are the topics you are facing problems in, and we will try to solve questions on those topics. Thank you so much.